Is Alice Madness Returns worth our time? We're going to find out. Welcome, everyone, to episode 156 of 1 Hour, 1 Decision, 1H1D. I am Chris.
And I am Tom.
And we take 60 minutes and play a random game on Xbox Game Pass and decide, well, why does madness return?
I think we need a time machine. We need to travel back in time more than a decade to find out.
You're right. So we are talking about Alice Madness Returns by Spicy Horse, American McGee's apparently development studio. And this game, like Tom hinted at, came out back in June of 2011, way back when.
Many a moon.
Many a moons ago, indeed. Sadly, we were still alive for that. Anyway, but this game, well, what kind of game is it?
Aren't we jumping the gun? Don't we usually talk about how big it is?
Oh my God, you're right. And I am going to say that. You're right. This game, I played it on PC, 8.5 gigabytes on the PC. Tom, what about you?
Chonky. The only explanation here is that it is a 360 title and it boots up that way because on the Series S, it is only 6.3 gigabytes.
Ooh, okay.
So that's the difference there.
Quite the difference indeed. And now let's get into what kind of game this is.
I give a very vanilla answer. I wrote third-person action adventure.
Yeah, I almost said the same thing. I said third-person action platformer.
Yes, there is platforming involved.
There's definitely a lot of platformming in this game.
You jump, you float, you land.
Yeah, that's a great segue, Tom, into our game loops. So what did you put down for your game loop?
I put progress through environments to collect your memories and battle baddies to advance the plot.
Okay. I kind of just added a little more color to my what kind of game it is. I said platform and hack your way through the story.
Yes. Snicker snack. It was that Vorpal blade.
Oh, yeah. Got the Vorpal blade, pepper grinder, all that good stuff. Now let's talk about that good stuff. What did we like about this?
I put the Vorpal blade going Snicker snack and other such little nods to, all the those source poems material and things. Yeah, I appreciate that stuff. So that made my list.
Yeah. Once again, Tom, this is a sequel that we're playing, not the original.
Oh boy.
but this is also, I mean, I don't think I didn't think I needed to play the first one for this.
Well, I appreciated that in the menu for this game, I was able to play the first one if I wanted to. I did not, but it was sitting there in the menu. Like, the menu starts up and right there was like, play American McGee's Alice. And I was like, hey, all right.
I did not have that option at all. That's interesting.
Well, I did. So,
Well, and that's even more impressive considering it was less space and you had 2 games in it. How was that possible?
Who knows? I mean, I didn't hit start, so I don't know if it would have prompted me to do some kind of additional install, but it was there.
Okay, cool. Well, I have to say, I remember when the first game came out. I actually don't remember that they had a sequel to this game, but I remember the first game came out, how like controversial it was, but how unique it was because of the way it looked. It basically, like, I felt like American McGee was definitely influenced by the Tim Burtons and like the Invader Zim, Johnny the Homicidal Maniac kind of look and feel to this game. And Alice is a creepy looking game. It is very just disturbing looking, and I was also surprised this game was voice acted. And pretty well, in fact, too. So that was some of the highlights, I got to say, right off the bat. I mean, it's got. I thought it had a pretty good presentation.
I was surprised, very surprised by that because it is an older game, so like that it's fully voice acted. I was like, huh. Yeah. And I thought the sound design in general was good. Like I had a pretty good auditory experience, and I don't listen to things on headphones. So if it delivers well, through my speakers, I'm like, hey, all right.
I agree. Yeah. And like we mentioned, this game is a platformer, a 3D platformer. I thought it did a pretty good job of platforming. I enjoyed jumping around in this game. Very opposite to what our experience was in Superland.
Yes.
And so it was literally a breath of fresh air because first of all, not only could you jump pretty far, you could float.
Yep.
And then you can triple jump even, which was really nice.
She has a very Peach style move set.
Yes, that's right. That's yes. The mentioning the red man again in another episode, but yes, she does have that because she's wearing a dress. She's got the billowy, as she's floating around, using that to her advantage. It was funny.
The twirls and the
As I was playing this game, I was like, the style of how Alice was. It's like, it seems like someone that Tom would have made a move on in his younger days. It's like, seems like somebody would.
I think that's fair. I'm thinking about it like, yeah, I mean, I probably would have been the same age as her too, 20 years ago when the original game came out. So it's probably fine.
Yeah. Please don't cancel us.
Here we are. Because you mentioned it. You're like, yeah, I remember when the first game came out. It's like, Chris, the first game came out back when we were in college. Like it was 2 decades ago. There was a lot of time between that original American McGee Alice and this game.
Yeah.
And a whole lot of time between this game and today, the present.
Today. Yeah, for sure. But we kind of talked about it already. You mentioned the Snicker Snack, the Vorpal Blade. Obviously, a lot of the characters that are in the story, the Cheshire Cat. I don't know how far. The Rabbit was there. I didn't get to see the Mad Hatter, but I saw some of his minions, I guess, and you fight them. But again, clever use of them and just like a twisted way of using them. I thought that was very good. I have to say, I was surprised about the graphical options in this game on the PC.
Oh,
it was like you can crank it all the way up. Really high resolution and stuff like that. So it looked pretty good for a fairly old game. Again, it was because of this art style and stuff like that, I think it ages better than most. So
yeah, it was when we realized we were going to play a game this old.
Yeah,
I was like, oh boy, here we go. But honestly, yeah, I mean, it didn't look that bad. I think the cinematics held up really well.
Yeah.
Because they were done in kind of like a stylized 2D,
like paper, almost, right?
Yeah, it felt like maybe like if it was done with cards and the cards were cut out, kind of. Which, of course, Alice in Wonderland, there's a whole lot of that, right?
Oh, yeah.
Decks of cards and stuff play a role. So maybe that's where they're going with that. I'm not sure, but and I agree with you on the movement felt good and the controls were pretty intuitive. I thought. And they were still explained. So I appreciate that. So even though the controls were intuitive, they did go kind of through a tutorial and like, this is how you jump. This is how you stay afloat. This is how you double jump. Just the basics. Teach me how to play while I'm playing. Thank you.
And there's kind of almost a built-in clue system when you shrunk. As you shrink, you have this like mini vision or something like that. I forgot what it's called, miniature vision or something like that. And so you see like purple writing somewhere on the walls that tells you essentially where you need to go next. I thought that was pretty nice. So it kind of kept you progressing forward as opposed to just being lost, like we were lost in Superland. So it's good.
Yeah,
I'm glad that they did that. Anything else you want to bring up here, unless we get to our dislikes here?
I am ready to move forward or backward, I suppose.
Ooh, yes, we will talk about our dislikes here. And as good as the platforming was, the combat was kind of meh for me.
Yeah.
It was a lot of just pressing the same button many times. And it didn't feel great. And there was also a dodge button, but like, I don't know. It just felt kind of the combat in general just felt kind of like an afterthought, I want to say. And, I'm okay with that. I'm okay. Like the platforming was pretty strong as by itself, but if you're going to put combat in there, give it a little bit more polish than what you just gave me. So
yeah, I wasn't a fan of some of the enemy types.
Yeah,
like there was those grab happy bolter flies that latch onto you, and then you have to dodge to get them to get off of you.
Right.
I didn't like it. I'm like, no, stop it. Stop grabbing me.
The one guy I had like the guy that you had to block or not block, but like get him to swing at you while you're dodging.
Yep.
That was an annoying experience because I felt like I was just mistiming it. Like I try to dodge too quickly, and he'd still swing at me, and like it would still register as a hit. So I died to him a couple of times, which was kind of annoying. But yeah, I don't know. It wasn't great. It wasn't a great experience. What else did you not like about this?
I do feel, and this happens a lot when we jump into second games in a series, I felt like I was missing a lot of content. Like the game would zoom in on something, and it's like, this is a reference to something you don't understand. And I'm like, with no explanation or whatever. It's like, zoom in on a picture, zoom in on a statue, zoom in on and it's like, clearly this is supposed to have some kind of weight or
True.
Significance, but it went clean over my head. And, listen, I'm not a paragon of information on Alice in Wonderland either. Right. So maybe they were references to the book or the story and I just missed them. I don't know.
I mean, I agree with you. There definitely were moments where I was like, okay, what's the point of this? But like, even for example, like the lady that gets you to go into Wonderland. Like, I don't know, was she a character that was in the first game?
Yeah.
And I can agree with you there where, it did feel kind of like what's going on. But for me, it wasn't like, it didn't take me out of it completely, I'll say. Yeah. Just because like everything else that was happening in the game where I was like, wow, okay, this is like the world itself. I thought they did a good job of like just world building as quickly as it did, as got you into the game. So,
and you're supposed to be going a touch mad, right? Things are kind of not supposed to make sense. So not understanding the full situation, the whole plot kind of just lends itself to like, maybe that's by design,
Yeah. And like, and that's the thing that also, well, I'm putting it as a dislike, but like, I'm confused as to what the heck is going on. Like, is everything just happening in her head? Are we just going to get to the end of this game? And is this like Roseanne where everything was a dream? Like, sorry, spoiler for a TV show, but yeah.
Are you just strapped to a hospspittal bed?
Right. The entire time is like, so this
pills.
Is this like pointless? This whole adventure that she's going, that the character are going through, are going to be like, that would be a bit frustrating. As one way of saying it, but and I know you mentioned the game does a good job of giving you tutorials or like kind of hints and on what stuff and all that stuff. I felt like the UI with the tutorials and tips sometimes like got in the way of you performing things. That was kind of lame.
It did stick around sometimes longer than it needed to.
Right.
It was like, it taught you how to double jump and then like, it's still there. And it's like, no, I got it. Like, didn't you register that I got it? Like, why is this tooltip still here?
Dismiss, press the B button to dismiss. It didn't work. It's
working. Like, this is how you dodge. I'm like, yes, I've been dodging. I've been dodging for the last whole level. Like, I don't need this anymore. Go away.
Agreed. And you mentioned something that I forgot to write down, but I'm glad you did.
Are we talking about how I was unsettled by the whole premise of the game, or?
Well, kind of, yeah, the teeth part of it, but yes.
Yeah, so like the currency in the game is teeth.
Yeah.
And there's for gross, right?
Yeah.
No thanks.
Yeah.
But on top of that, like they don't tell you why you're doing it at first. So you're just smashing things up, collecting teeth, and it's just, this is what we're doing, I guess. Eventually you learn that those teeth are used to like buy upgrades and stuff like that.
Right.
Maybe I would have started there.
Yeah, because they did an intro to get you the pepper grinder, right? And then also intro you to the flying snouts that give you like clues to get to, particular power-ups or whatever it is. It just felt like that was kind of weird that the teeth were just, I mean, maybe to your point, it was something that was a collectible back in the first game.
Could be.
So that's why I was saying, like, as someone that might have played the first one, like, oh yeah, teeth, no problem. Whereas you and I were like, oh my God, teeth, like what's going on here? Not great.
I did not like it. The other thing that I have here that I did not like is there is no mini map, and there are no real like directions. Now, I will concede that it seems like the game's pretty well designed, and maybe those things are unnecessary. But it's weird to play a action platformer like a 3D game, and not have any compass or any kind of directional map.
Right.
But I will say that I was never stuck or lost. So I guess, when American McGee and his team put this together, they're like, hey, you don't need this, so we're not going to put it there.
Yeah. And it's funny because I did go back and play a game that was near and dear to me a couple of months back or so, which was Splinter Cell. And I went back into it. I was like, wait a minute, there is no mini map in this. How am I supposed to know like where I'm supposed to go and all this stuff? And it's so weird how ingrained mini maps are nowadays. Yeah. And it's like, if your game is designed well, you don't need it. And I mean, Splinter Cell was very linear. This game is very linear, so it's like you can kind of are guided to your experience through your experience in that way. So
and you have the ability to shrink yourself and get kind of like arrows to where you're supposed to go.
Right.
So
exactly.
They've solved it a different way, basically.
Yeah. Cool. Are we good with our dislikes here?
I think so. I think I'm ready to talk about our other thoughts.
Ooh. So How Long to Beat says this game takes about 14 hours to complete. So
for a 360 era platformer, that's pretty substantial, I guess.
Pretty substantial game. And this game is not xCloud compatible. Okay. So, and your saves are not going to be cross save and all that good stuff. So, but understandable because it is an older title. I mean, I would be surprised if EA was going to do that, first of all, for free and do that at all for an older game like this. So yeah, that's what I got. What about you, Tom? What are your other thoughts here?
Okay, so I did a little digging as I'm wont to do. This game was released 11 years after the original game.
Wow.
Now that is a pretty long gap, right? Yeah. The delays there are attributed to work on a feature film that never came out and a spin-off game, American McGee's Oz, based on The Wizard of Oz.
Oh, okay.
That didn't happen either. And after they completed this game, they started talking about making a third game, making this a trilogy. But ultimately, that third game was canceled in April of 2023.
Oh, wow.
So another 10 years later, like there's long gaps. Had that third game actually came out, right? It probably would have come out 2024 or something like that.
Yeah.
But EA rejected McGee's pitch. So, from what I understand, thereafter, unlike you were talking about Invader Zim, American McGee he's like, I'm done with this. Like, I don't want to, enough rejection where the guy's just like, I don't want to work on this anymore. I'm done. I'm moving on. Yeah. Moving on with my life. I spent enough time on this.
Yeah, I believe he's actually retired from game development in general. So he's just kind of hanging out.
Would not blame him.
Yeah, he at least he was able to come out with 2 games after leaving id Software. So good for him. Good for him. And another fun fact: the person that was supposed to play Alice in that failed film, Sarah Michelle Gellar.
That's an interesting choice. Yeah. She would not be who I would pick.
Well, she wanted to do it. Like, I think she actually bought the rights to it or something like that. So,
all right,
very interesting. So, that's that. But now, Tom, we got to find out: are we going to be keeping this game on our respective hard drives or throwing it down the rabbit hole?
Well said. Well said. So I put. I think that if I had gotten into this franchise back when it was being released, I genuinely think I probably would have enjoyed playing through it. But today, here we are over a decade later.
Yeah.
There's just so much other stuff to play. Like, I don't think that it's bad.
Right.
I had fun playing my hour. It went by really quick, but I'm just not invested enough in Alice in Wonderland or American McGee or any of this anymore in my life. Compared with, there's other stuff out there.
Sure.
We'll play another game next week and who knows,
True. And once again, American McGee got rejected. So sorry about that. But for me, I want to say this game gave me those good old vibes of 360 PS3 platforming. And I am kind of curious about where this story and the gameplay evolves. I think I'm going to give it at least another go to see if the boss fights are interesting. Because if they're not interesting at that point, I'm probably going to drop it. I didn't at least get to a boss. I'm not sure if you did. So I'm at least curious to see if those were designed well. So I'll give it that. So those are our thoughts. Let us know what you think of this game. Follow us and say hello on Twitter at TC1H1D, or shoot us an email at TC1H1D@outlook.com. Or if you're checking us out on Twitch, we do those every once in a while, twitch.tv/1H1D. And hey, we put these out on YouTube too. So if you've got comments about American McGee or don't want to keep him rejected, you want him to make another game, too bad he's not doing it. He's retired. But Q1H1D is part of a QTV network, and if you like any cool gaming content, check it all out at quitthebuild.com/network. Now, Tom.
Yes.
We do need to find out what we're playing next, don't we?
Yes. I suppose the surprise me button is once again in charge.
Yes. No snicker snack of the Vorpal Blade. We're going to be hitting that surprising button. Here we go. Oh, okay.
Yes.
I believe it's called Gris.
You are correct with your Spanish pronunciation.
Thank you. So we're going to be playing Gris next time, our next episode. So thank you so much, everyone, for tuning to this episode, and we will catch you next time.
Thanks, everybody.